Saints look like sore losers here?
Mean, man. You mean. I mean, really mean. No. One, I never heard Gail Benson speak, but I'm sure she doesn't sound like Martin Luther King. Can you work on your voiceover?
If I had done a woman's voice, I'd have got killed.
Oh, good point, good point. This whole sore loser psychology has always disturbed me from just growing up. When you're wronged in competition and you want to show integrity, but you also want to be not only objective, but specific about your gripe, it's weird that people like you always say there's an expiration date on you complaining about how you were wrong. Case in point, let's say I race Usain Bolt, and he false starts, but they let him keep running, and he's already faster than me, and he keeps running, and he beats me in a photo finish. Do you know how long I'm going to complain about how y'all let him get away with a false start? To the day I die. If there's a situation where you're talking about you wronged me, I was a victim of the Music City Miracle. I just brought it up again yesterday. To the day I die, I can talk about my gripe. Why does that all of a sudden get termed sore loser? Sore loser to me is when you were beaten fair and square, and then you're making unnecessary gripes, or you're exaggerating the wrong that probably didn't even occur. This is not that case. This is not a conventional case of a sore loser. This is a team that if the referees just do their job in that one moment, they're going to win that game. So for me, sore loser is a little excessive and also out of place for this category.
I think where you stand on a call depends on where you sit. Like, I think the Tuck Rule call was a great call. Oh. And, you know, I was in New England at the time. But even looking at this situation, there's no guarantee that they would have won the game. So it would have been down to 30 seconds, and they would have kicked a field goal. But if you look at the first game, the end of the first half, what did the Rams do? They went down at the end of the half with 26 seconds left and kicked a field goal. Could they have missed the field goal? A lot of things could have happened. Throughout the course of that game, they were letting these guys be physical. It happened through the whole game, and there were a lot of calls like that. In overtime, you could argue that the pass interference call that the Saints did get was a wrong call. That was too light a call. So you can argue that throughout the course of the game. And if you're in Kansas City, you're unhappy about the fact that the New England Patriots are able to go down and score in overtime and win the game without you getting the ball back. So there's a lot of things that people are going to be unhappy about at the end of the game. Was it a bad call? It was a bad call. Was it a guarantee that they would have won the game? Not necessarily.
Well, I was there, and when I saw it in real time, I was shocked.
Shocked at what?
Shocked that they didn't call that. I mean, the whole
real time, the ball looked uncatchable.
I was watching it, and I played the game a long time, looking at it, and I'm saying that is a no-brainer. Pass interference. They're going to run the ball 3 times. First down, run the ball 3 times. Game is over. Now, going back to what you said. By the way, that was very mean to put tears. You're mocking this man's pain. And you said nobody died, but I'll tell you this. And people out there might not like this, but it does. It feels like somebody died. I played in the NFC Championship game. We lost that game. I didn't get over it for a month. Literally went down to Mexico. I said, forget about the Pro Bowl. I'm not going. I said, I didn't even watch the Super Bowl that year. Literally, it was like somebody had kicked me in my gut, and we didn't even lose like that. We lost fair and square. We just couldn't score. To lose like this, it is a tragedy to these people. It is like somebody died. Literally, you can compare it to, it is a death to them. It's that serious. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying, well, yeah, it's like somebody, they literally feel like a part of them has died, and it's something they'll carry with them for the rest of their life. Some people will get over it, but there are certain people out there that will never get over it. It will never get over it. It's very, very tough to deal with.
But it didn't end the game. It didn't end the game, and they had an opportunity to then go stop the Rams. They had an opportunity to get the first possession overtime and go down and score. And you wonder, was the focus on that call the thing that distracted them for the rest of the game? Was their inability to move on from that the thing that made a difference in the rest of that game?
They butchered everything. I mean, calling that pass on the first down that did not go that way, that whole clock shouldn't have been like that. They messed that up, and I'll give that to them. And yes, maybe they could have, but the chances are, if they would have got that call and then just take a knee 3 times in a row, then kick a field goal with 15 seconds left, the game is over. They're in the Super Bowl. So I understand where these fans are coming from. Have a little compassion. Have a heart. Feel for them. It's bad.
But now let's go to the competition committee and ensure that this never happens again. Well, I'm just sorry. As long as humans are involved, there's going to be mistakes. Somebody in that competition committee, Mike Tomlin, some Mara family, somebody's got to stand up to Sean Payton, who to me is going too far, and Gail Benson going too far. talking about changing rules because something bad happened to the New Orleans Saints. Give me a break.
Well, I think a lot of the rules and the changes in the rules is because of the effect on the economy and the business of football. So if you talk about the game being safer, in part, you want to make the game safer because you're selling it to soccer moms and second-generation athletes like Tony and myself. So the economics do sway you in terms of how you want to change the rules in the competition committees and their votes. So
the replays about safety?
Yeah, you know what? This one's about integrity of the game. This is about the fan who's sitting there saying, hey, is there another interest involved other than the fair and square competition? So, yeah, as Gail Benson even said in her letter, if you read it fully, it started off talking about this play. And then it expanded to the fan base and how she's blessed to be a New Orleans Saints and blessed to be from New Orleans. You know what? You have to reset that fan base. And the NFL has to reset its fan base as well. You can't let them have an entire offseason thinking, oh, at any given time, the referees may or may not call it. So the competition committee is influenced by the economy of the game, which is based off of, in part, the integrity of the game.
No calls have been a part of sports since the beginning of time. And fans getting their feelings hurt has been a part of sports since the beginning of time. The St. Louis Cardinals and their fans in 1985, Don Dinkinger messed up a call unintentionally that people in St. Louis believe cost them a World Series title in Game 6. Now, they blew the rest of that game. They had other opportunities to finish Game 6, and then they came out and got their butts kicked in Game 7, 11-0. So I've seen St. Louis, the city is fine. All the people, the fans of the St. Louis Cardinals, they're fine. The New Orleans Saints got dealt some adversity and a painful loss. Heartbreak is a part of sports. That's as
Jason,
much as celebrating the victories.
How do you get over it so quickly, though? I mean, the game was 2 days ago.
Listen, if they want to be upset
already,
yeah, right. You're talking about 85 versus 2 days later.
But again, if they want to be upset, fine. But all this, we got to change the rules and people signing the petition. The petition is about Roger Goodell overturning the outcome and sending the Saints to the Super Bowl or making them replay the game. Stop it.
It's called evolution. And for you to say there's not one rule that's been the same from the beginning of sports, guess what? Jason Whitlock is anti-progress. You know what? We have to evolve. The game continues to evolve, and this may be a part of that evolution. You're saying victims weren't intended and harmed in the process.
Intent. There's no intent.
Do you understand the difference in intent is like manslaughter to murder? You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean to hurt you, but guess what? You gone. So guess what? I still have to deal with that. So don't use intent as your only gauge. You don't have to try and hurt me and still feel the pain.
But how many times have pass interference calls been called and the ball's on the 1 yard line and it shouldn't have been called? It's worked the other way for years, and nobody really argues that strongly about that. We tried to over-officiate the catch rule, and that didn't work out, so then we had to go back this year and change that. And then there were a bunch of balls that looked like, obviously, they weren't catches, but everybody was afraid to overrule it, so we went the extreme the other way. I like the idea of being able to review calls. I think that should be an open-ended deal. But, look, this human error is part of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that. Yeah. Absolutely. Right. And I agree with saying, Sean, don't worry. Look, the game, don't overcomplicate this stuff. It was just a bad no call by that ref. It really was, and I believe it was they let him play in the playoffs.
I'm not 1,000%.
But that was just a bad call. You don't think it was a bad call?
No. Helmet to helmet.
One of the two calls.
Helmet to helmet should have been called.
Right, so that's one of them.
Pass interference to me is totally questionable. When you watched it live, that ball was uncatchable, and I believe it was past the dude, actually, and it wasn't catchable. It was a bad throw. Another one of Drew Brees' bad throws on that same drive, and it really wasn't, because I was upset with the DB, like, why did you touch him? You didn't need to do anything.
He could pick that off, but he did. But he did do it. And
yeah,
he impeded the that was a good ball. He would have had a touchdown if he would have caught it. And that's what the DB said, by the way. He came
I
there
know
and
what
said,
he said. He don't know.
He don't know, but he did it.
He don't know.
How would you feel if you got your house robbed and the police were there?
There's intent.
And they didn't stop him. It's like, what do you mean? Why didn't you stop this guy?
No call, complicity.
No cause,
complicity.
I don't know.
For the wrongdoing.
That's
a good analogy?
That's not bad. Because it is their job to stop a crime from happening. But if the police are like, well, we didn't think he was going to do it. We thought he was here to in the house or whatever.
Try to get some of them snacks.
Yeah. So honest to goodness, and I love Drew Brees, think he's the Walter Payton of this era. Sean Payton, to me, I've lost some respect for.
Oh,
here.
my.
He's a bit of a
for echoing his wrongs, for talking about
his ego's out of control, Marcel.
What does that have to do with the fact
That's why I've lost respect for him. His ego's out of control.
But you're using this to kind of galvanize that point and say, oh, because you're complaining about a wrong, you're a sore loser, so now your ego's out of control? I don't see the connection.
He's not taking responsibility for what he did to cost them that game.
And you know what? If this was during the regular season, I would agree with you. I would say, get on it. You got next week, but there is no tomorrow here. That's why it feels like a death. You'll never have this opportunity again, and it's gone forever. Yeah. And you know how hard it is to get to these situations.
Right.
It's extremely hard. So, yes, he's grieving right now. And like I said, I compared it to a death. Is there a proper way to grieve? Are you going to tell somebody you can't grieve that way? They're grieving right now. It feels that way like somebody died.
Because this is how I would like for him to grieve. You know what? The refs made a mistake, and I made about 6 that cost us this game. And so you can blame the ref, but don't forget to blame me because I really did some dumb stuff here that helped cost us the game.
And there was so much football left after that play. And that, to me, is what I think is getting overlooked. There's so many plays where they could have done the right thing and overcome this call. It's not like that play was the only one that could have ended the game.
I'm never going to a wake with either one of y'all. I mean, you sit there just look wipe your tears. Look, he gone.
I'll give you the great analogy. If today I leave here and go to a buffet and choke on a buffalo wing and die, don't blame the restaurant.
Shut up. That is not analogous.